Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. Marvin Vettori versus Jared Cannonier is about to go down tomorrow night in a UFC Fight Night 5-round main event, and the odds for this fight on the books are about damn even. Let me tell you guys why, in my opinion, Jared Cannonier will win this fight. So let's get some of the positives for Marvin Vettori out of the way before I dive into why I think Jared Cannonier has a better chance to win this fight. First off, the age difference is pretty staggering. These guys have a 10-year age difference between the two of these guys. Jared Cannonier is, of course, 39 years old, and Marvin Vettori is actually 29 years old. So youth and potential improvement is definitely on Marvin Vettori's side here. He's a very hard worker, but hell, so is Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier still looks extremely good in there. Now, another advantage for Marvin Vettori that kind of ties into that youth aspect is the durability. I think Marvin Vettori is going to be the slightly more durable fighter in there. Now, in terms of stamina, I think it is about even. Both guys are used to going 5 rounds at this point in their career, but I'd honestly make the argument that Marvin Vettori has a top 3 chin in the UFC. This guy, it seems as though he cannot get stunned. He's repeatedly gotten hit with KO blows versus guys such as Paulo Costa, but he absolutely eats it. Whereas Jared Cannonier, when he gets eaten by a huge shot, such as that Robert Whittaker fight in the 3rd round, he definitely takes a minute or two to brush off the cobwebs. So not only do I think Marvin Vettori has a better chin than Jared Cannonier, but in general, the durability is better. Again, Jared Cannonier has gotten hurt in the octagon. He's broken his arm in a fight before. Whereas, again, with Marvin Vettori, we've really never seen that in his career. And then the last advantage I do see to Marvin Vettori is the grappling. We've seen at times Jared Cannonier somewhat struggle with grappling, such as guys with Jack Hermanson being able to land some takedowns on him, such as guys like Robert Whittaker, potentially Derek Brunson as well. The thing is, though, Jared Cannonier does have pretty good scrambles, and it's not like the grappling sequences in those fights I just named lost him those fights. They were kind of just a deterrent to what he wanted to do. Whereas Marvin Vettori, he is a guy who's going to offensively implement his grappling, and I think he's been working on his grappling, and that's something I expect for Marvin Vettori to do in this fight. I think he damn near has to mix in the takedowns just as a threat of a level change to open up his striking a little bit more in this fight, and I definitely expect him to implement that pretty early on in this fight. But to me, Jared Cannonier is a good enough counter grappler. He has good enough scrambles, and he's strong enough to not have the grappling sequences be significant players in this fight. Do I think there can be a round or two in this fight where it's about even on the feet and then Marvin Vettori mixes in a takedown or two with some control time in there to have him edge out that round? I do envision that happening potentially in this fight, but again, I don't think it's going to be the deciding factor in this one. So let's dive into Jared Cannonier now and just the overall striking picture. Jared Cannonier is no doubt in my mind the better striker than Marvin Vettori. He mixes it up so much better. Something I absolutely hate about Marvin Vettori is the lack of diversity in his striking. He's so goddamn boring and so goddamn orthodox with his striking. He's literally a jab straight machine. All he does out there is try to establish his distance with his jab. He's going to try to march forward and jab straight his opponent to his death. Now, lately in his fights, he has mixed in a leg kick, and while his leg kick is a bit unpredictable, it's pretty quick. There's not that much power behind these leg kicks. I no doubt give the leg kick advantage to Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier has some insane leg kicks. So looking at Jared Cannonier, he's definitely a bit of a headhunter out there, just like Marvin Vettori is. They're somewhat similar in that aspect. Jared Cannonier's main goal and main advantage is to KO you and really blast those powerful overhand rights, those powerful hooks, those powerful straights, and that really nice jab to his opponent's head. But he's a guy who, one, will mix it up during his fights. He'll mix it up to the body. He'll mix it up to the legs. And 2, he's a guy who will make mid-fight adjustments. A perfect example of this is the Sean Strickland fight. Now, I'm definitely in the camp that Sean Strickland won that fight. I think it was a bit of a bad decision there. But regardless, Jared Cannonier was really struggling in the first 2 to 3 rounds in that fight. He was headhunting. And Sean Strickland is a guy who, besides the Pereira fight, has outright phenomenal, historically good head strike defense for the middleweight division, so he really had struggle finding that head of Sean Strickland. But in the later rounds, he arguably won round 4 and 5 because he started mixing in the leg kicks really nicely. He started mixing in the hooks to the body, the kicks to the body, the jabs to the body, the straights to the body as well. He started mixing up from orthodox to southpaw. That's something that Vettori somewhat does, but Cannonier really likes starting off in his fights in the orthodox, and then throughout the fight, he will switch stances a lot, which is something I really do like from Jared Cannonier as well. And he definitely did start to connect on Sean Strickland because he did make that mid-fight adjustment and started to really mix it in on all 3 levels of the striking phase. You look at some of their common opponents, I think of guys like obviously Israel Adesanya, and he did so much better than Marvin Vettori in the Adesanya fight. Basically, for the both fights that Vettori had with Adesanya, he had absolutely nothing to offer for Adesanya. And basically over 3 rounds in their first fight and over 5 rounds in their second fight, he really had no danger of being finished in that fight, but he really did nothing offensively to even threaten Adesanya. Whereas Cannonier, multiple sequences in that Adesanya fight had Adesanya against the cage, and there was at least 4 to 5 sequences where Jared Cannonier actually somewhat flushly landed a big right hook to Adesanya's head. So he had a much better Adesanya performance. The Whitaker performance, I mean, Marvin Vettori had absolutely nothing. He was literally a heavyweight bag out there for 3 rounds. It was kind of an embarrassing performance. He had nothing offensively to offer, whereas you look at Jared Cannonier, obviously he had a really bad round 3, and he arguably got injured in round 2 of this fight, but he was absolutely chopping the legs of Robert Whitaker, and he was mixing it up really nicely in the first 2 rounds of that fight. I also look at that Jack Hermansson fight. Jack Hermansson's a really crafty striker. He's a guy who likes operating out of the southpaw, but he'll also mix it up. And I really like Jack Hermansson's kickboxing, but he has absolutely no power in his shots. And that's something that Marvin Vettori just cannot take advantage of. He actually took Jack Hermansson to a 5-round decision. Now, he did win that fight, whereas Jared Cannonier realized after the first round of being in there with Jack Hermansson, I'm just going to walk this guy down. He has nothing for me in the power department, and he knocked him out early in the second round. So to me, not only does Jared Cannonier have better wins on his record, but he has better performances against guys that Marvin Vettori took to a decision. Overall, Vettori just does not seem like an instinctive, cerebral guy out there. He seems like a guy who's going to come in with a good game plan, but once he has to derive from that game plan, he's really not going to do it, whereas Jared Cannonier comes in with a good game plan. If that game plan absolutely sucks after the first or second round, he's a guy who is going to mix it up. My official prediction for this fight, 3-2 Jared Cannonier. I think Marvin Vettori for 1 or 2 rounds of this fight does mix in a takedown and narrowly edges out a round or 2 on the scorecards, but overall, I just think Jared Cannonier is going to blast those leg kicks, those same leg kicks that absolutely stunned Anderson the Spider Silva and TKO'd him with those leg kicks. He's going to blast the leg kicks of Marvin Vettori. His leg kick defense is not that good. After establishing those leg kicks, he's going to find his boxing home. He's going to find shots to the body, and he's going to find shots on that blockhead of Marvin Vettori's. Thanks for listening, guys. Let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this fight, Marvin Vettori or Jared Cannonier?